We're starting Be'ezras Hashem Siman Daled and haGuela V'al Tamura, and the way it works is the first two simanim were about this the pasuk in Malachi that the people said Shalom Elokim, and the rebbe explained that goes on people that didn't actually say it, but because of their actions, because they praised the Rasha'im, they showed with their actions that they didn't hold that it was worth serving Hashem. And then in Siman Gimel and Daled, he speaks about the Isser to praise the wicked, and a couple of sections from Rabbeinu Yoina to deal with that. So that's what we're going to start with now. Ukvar perashti divrei haKoheles Rabbah, Perek Gimel, Siman Hey, Eis lachavoik v'eis lirchoik mechabek. In Koheles, there's a whole section where it says Eis lishmor, Eis lahashlich, Eis milchama, Eis shalom. So one of the things is there's a time to hug and there's a time to stay far from hugging. So the Medrash says, Eis lachavoik imro isa kashal tzadikim oimdim. If you see a group of tzadikim standing, amoid v'chabek v'nashek v'gapafam, come to them and hug them and kiss them. V'yeis l'rachek, when is there a time to stay far? Or lirchoik mechabek, imro isa kashal rasha'im. If you see a group of rasha'im, then rachek mehem umikayotzi bahem. Stay far from them and from those who are like them. Ad kan l'shoinai. V'yesh l'daktik. We can make a diak here, b'divrei HaMedrash, b'masha omer rachik mehem umikayotzi bahem. Ma kavanasai. What does this mean? It's interesting. In the beginning of the Medrash, when it says to go to the tzadikim and hug them and kiss them, it doesn't say tzadikim and those who are like them. But when it says to stay far from the Rasha'im, it says stay far from those who are like the Rasha'im. So who are these people who are like the Rasha'im? To imheim Rasha'im kemoisim, if they're also Rasha'im, imkein chiyav yisrachkus hu mipash shehem atzmam Rasha'im, then that itself is a reason to stay far from them. Lo hutzrach l'tam dekayotzi bohem. Doesn't have to say that they're like the Rasha'im. V'imeinam Rasha'im, if they're not Rasha'im, then b'mahem kayotzi bohem. Then how are they like them? Manavshach. What's the problem with these people? Who are these kayotzi bohem? Amnam yuvan alpi ma she'omer be'avos Reb Nasan, Perek Lam in Mishnah Gimel. Rabbi Akiva Omer kol hamedabek be'over avera af al pi shaloi asa k'maaseim harei mekabel puranias kayotzi bohem. The Avos Reb Nasan says that you can't join or stay or together with the over avera, because if you join them, even if you don't do the avera, you're considered like them and you get the same punishment as them. V'chein hamedabek be'oisei mitzvah. The same thing goes if you join people doing a mitzvah. Even though you don't do the mitzvah yourself, you're going to get the reward of those doing the mitzvah. This is the famous Avos Reb Nasan about staying far from the Rasha'im that was quoted. I think it was quoted by Reb Zelig Reuven Bengus in his first Kol Koirei in 1949 against the elections. This is one of the main sources to stay away from the Rasha'im, not to join the Rasha'im. Okay. V'al pi zeh, according to this, Yuvan HaMedrash. Now we understand the Medrash in Koheles. Imro isa kashal Rasha'im rachik mehem mikayotzi bohem. Stay far from those who are like them. Who is that? V'akavan al elu shem amru chazal she'af al pi shaloi asu k'maaseim. It's going back on these kind of people that didn't do what the Rasha'im do. They weren't bad, but harei heim kayotzi bohem. They're still considered like them. They're still considered like them. It's interesting, the same word, right? It says, Amadabik be'over avera, harei mekabel puranias kayotzi bohem. The same exact lashon, kayotzi bohem, is used over there. V'afal pi she'einam Rasha'im achshav, even though these people who are joining the Rasha'im are not actually Rasha'im, ulefi re'us ha'ayin mekaymin v'oisin mitzvahs, even though it looks like they're actually doing mitzvahs, aval im misdabkim. But the Torah is telling us that if they join up with them, and other people have to stay far from them. Why? Chazal say these people are like them. V'zeu kavanas hakasuv eis lirchoik mechabek. This is what it means, stay far from hugging. Shetzarech lirchoik kol ma shehu mechabek umedabek atzmoi b'reshayim. So now he's touching it a little different. It doesn't mean to stay far from hugging them. It means to stay far from anybody who hugs the Rishayim and connects himself with Rishayim. Ukein zeh kasev Rabbeinu Yoina zal b'shari tshuva shar gimel ois kuf samach v'zel shaynai v'inyan soynei Hashem. Rabbeinu Yoina says this concept of soynei Hashem, chas v'shalom, to be a hater of Hashem, nimtza lefa'amim gam b'anashim shehem oisim hamitzvus v'nisharim mikol aveira b'maisa u'v'lashon. That sometimes people who do mitzvahs and are careful not to do aveiros with actions, with words, and even so, these people could be called Soynei Hashem. How's that possible? That he counts a few things over there that could be considered Soynei Hashem. And he ends off. The last example is people who love the honor of the wicked, umashlam al afar, and they like the fact that the Rishayim are in power over the land. Ki eila be'emes soynei Hashem. These people hate Hashem. Ad kan l'shayna. Hashem yishmereinu mehem u'mehamoinam. Hashem protects us from them. And just to look at Rebbeinu Yoina inside, it's just interesting to see what else he considered soynei Hashem. See. V'inyan soynei Hashem nimtza lefa'amim gam b'anashim shem oisim mitzvahs nimizharim mikol aveir b'ma'asav v'lashon. Im nafsham ra. It says, for example, if they feel bad, uvekerav libam yikshelahem, and it's hard for them to see kasher chavereim oiskim b'toyer. They don't like to see competition. They're big Talmidei Chacham. They like to learn and whatever, do mitzvahs, but they don't like to see other people doing good. They want to be the only one doing good. And they don't like to see people serving Hashem and being Yirei Shemaim. It's like someone who doesn't want people to be mechabed the king. So even though he himself is mechabed the king, but he doesn't want other people to be mechabed him, that shows that he doesn't like the king. Kol shekain if he actually prevented them, as leiv b'nei adam me'esek haTorah u'min mitzvahs. If he actually prevents people from learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, ki heim soynei Hashem. That's called hating Hashem. V'chein hu anashim asher einam tzara b'chvoid Talmidei Chachamim. People who are jealous or they are stingy about the kavod of that's shown to Talmidei Chachamim. Hayasharim v'atzadikim. V'soynim mater stifartam. They speak badly about them. They say, I don't like the fact that this person is getting so much honor. If he's a Talmid Chacham. Oy, another example. Yeira levavam im adehem tasa uva memshelas hador. They're angry that the Talmidei Chacham get power and have the power over the generation. V'chein kasuv ki loy oischa moasu ki im oisi moasu mim loich alehem. That Shmuel, when they asked for a king, Shmuel thought that they were being moist him. They were going against him, and they were. They wanted a king instead of him. So Hashem said, yeah, they're going against you, but really it's not you, really it's me that they're going against. Because when someone doesn't want a Talmid Chacham to be the Gadol Hador and the powerful person, then he's going against Hashem too. Kol shekain if they actually denigrate the Talmid Chacham. And then the last case is the case the Rebbe quotes. They don't like the fact that Rishayim are in power. They don't want Hashem's service to go on. They don't want Hashem to have so many servants. Okay. Now, the Amru Chazal. The Rebbe brings another Mara Makom to show that you're not allowed to praise the wicked. Amru Chazal Masechta Gittin Daf Samach Beis Samad Aleph Ein machzikim yedei Yisrael ha'evdim b'shvius. You're not allowed to encourage Jews who work on the ground in Shemitah. So he quotes a little bit of the Gemara here. He skips around. That the Isser is to say to them words, even if you don't actually help them. If you're encouraging, you give encouraging words to a Jew who's working in Shemitah, that's the problem. Pirush Rashi's
what's Alma Ashrusa?
What? Ashrasa is like I approve of what you're doing. Like a stamp of approval. The Pirush Rashi's al ha'over etzel Yisrael, someone who passes by a Jewish owned field and he sees the Jews working there, ha'oisem malacha be'isr shvis, and they're doing work on their field in Shemitah. Aster loimer loy techzakne yedechem. He's not allowed to say what's customary. Usually people say when they see someone working, they say techzakne yedechem, give him a little bracha, encouragement. But here you're not allowed to do that because he's working in Shemitah. See the Gemara inside to see what the Havamina was here. It says machzikim yidei akum b'shvius. It says you're allowed to encourage non-Jews who work in Shemitah because they're allowed to work, right? So machzikim, the Gemara thinks right now that it means that you're actually allowed to help them. You're allowed to help the guy work in Shemitah. So, in fact, the Gemara v'ha'amar Rav Dimi bar Shishna mishmei Rav ein oidrim im hoakum b'shvius. You can't go to a guy's field and work in Shemitah, even though it belongs to him. But if you're working on the land, you're doing the neveira. V'ein koiflin shalom lo'ev kechavim, and you're not allowed to say shalom twice to a guy. Lo yitzricha lememro lehu achzuke be'alma. It's talking about just encouraging the guy. That's what you're allowed to do to a guy. You're allowed to encourage him. Kihad Rav Yehuda Amar Lahu Achzuku. Rav Sheshes Amar Lahu Ashrasa. When Rav Yehuda used to pass by a guy working in Shemitah, he would say Achzuku, be strong. And Rav Sheshes would say to them Ashrasa, which means Chizuk. Rashi says, I'm being mechazik you, I'm encouraging you. So how do you know you're not allowed to do this to a Jew? I guess because the Mishnah says on Daf Samach Aleph, this is Samach Beis, but on Daf Samach Aleph Amud Aleph, the Mishnah that this is going on says, Umachzikim yidei nachrim b'shvius aval loy al yidei Yisrael. But you're not allowed to be mechazik a Jew who's working in Shemitah. And then the Gemara explains that it means to say to the guy words, not to help him, but just to say words. So vice to chois, that even that for a yid, even to say words is aser. That's the makor that he's bringing. So you see from this that you're not allowed to praise someone who's doing something wrong. V'hinei kol ho'inyanim hahem. All these things, heim dvarim yeduim. He says, I didn't have to bring all these proofs. Really, everybody knows this already. Dvarim yeduim u'muvurayim b'divrei chachameinu v'rabbi seinu zal b'mkoimus ein mispar. There's many other proofs to the same thing. She'aser lahalel u'l'shabeach es rasha'im. You're not allowed to praise the rasha'im. V'aser li'schabe rimahim. And you're not allowed to join them. Nobody in the past generations had any sophic about this. V'kal v'choymer ben b'noi shel kal v'choymer b'rasha'im shel zmanenu. That this is even worse today with the Rishayim, the Zionists today, shemufursamim b'rishasam, that they're outstanding and well known in their wickedness. Lahavir al-adas, because they're not satisfied with just being secular themselves, but they go out on purpose and they secularize the Jewish people. They have transit camps where they take the people in and make them fry. They come with their with their government authority, they come even to our schools today, right? They try to tell them what to do.
Yeah, even today, a few months ago, I read an article about how, like, the Israeli embassy in Uzbekistan, like, they're sponsoring these, schools, secular schools where Judaism is just a culture, not religion.
In Uzbekistan.
Yeah. It's an Central Asian survey.
Yeah, so they're not even satisfied with their own country. They're going to other countries.
Yeah, that's right. It was after the fall of communism, man. The
Zionists already made many gzeiros against the Torah, and they're still in power. They could still make more gzeiros. So alachas kamu kama shechizik v'akavod lohem u'lemaaseim goyrim ra gedola. So it's all the more so that praising them is very bad. Kamavur b'divrei manal, just like Chazal say. Like Chazal say that if you praise the wicked, then harei zemakabel purani is kayotzi bohem. Uvavun seinu rab machshav higanu l'matzav chazeh. We came to this matzav today that shemahalimu mishabchim es ma'aseh rasha'im. Now, after the war in '67, people are actually praising what the Rasha'im do. Umachnifim lohem, and they flatter them. B'li shemet shel busha, without even the smallest amount of embarrassment. Nimshachim akreim klal Yisrael. Now, Klal Yisrael is coming to follow them. Uviyoyster, and even more so, gadla hamavucha v'amachshel hazois. This the stumbling block increased. After the recent events of the war, to see the victory the Zionists had over their enemies, to Aravim, the Arabs, shehitil bilbul hadas v'tishtu shamoichin, that this victory caused there to be a mixing up of the minds. Gam bein shlumei amunei Yisrael, even among the most religious Jews, ki haratzim shluchi hasamach mem yatzu techufim levarich al anisim. That he's borrowing the lashon from the Megillah. The shluchim of the samach mem go out and they bless over the nisim. They praise Hashem and they praise the Zionists over the nisim. B'koil gadol, and they say it loudly. Vayisgoydedu k'mishpatam, and they cut themselves with knives. He's borrowing from the lashon of the Ovdei Baal in Tanakh. It says they used to cut themselves with knives when they worship the Baal. Laymore, and they say,
the Shiite Muslims do that.
Yeah.
Ru'u
ki yesh mamash ba'avodah zarah. See that the avodah zarah hatzionis is really true. Umin hashamayim moisim lanu nisim lahatzik ma'aseinu. They say Hashem is doing nisim for us to justify us, to show that He's on our side. And now, from this siman onwards, the Rebbe is going to start the main subject of Nisim. He says, in order to explain this and clear it up for these people who are confused, I'm going to explain the subject of Nisim, and when and where, how Nisim could happen. I'm going to explain it based on the words of Chazal.
When you say borrow from the Megillah, which Megillah?
From Megillah Esther.
Oh.
So he's going to explain in the next siman and onwards. He's going to explain the inyan of Nisim, and he's going to show from Chazal first of all that the Nisim of the war were not Nisim, and second of all to explain the whole inyan of when Nisim come, when they don't come.